I don't care what y'all say. It's time to rock and roll. This time I'm in control. Right now I'm on the streets. Keys to the city. That's 'cause I am.
What if I told you the most talented women in the WWE, Jazz, Gail Kim, Victoria, Molly Holly, and countless others fell victim to the system of the WWE to build up one star? And this effect is the Trish effect. You want to talk about it? Let's go. Hey, what's going on, YouTube land? It's your boy TJ, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Wrestling Nostalgia, where I get my wrestling content on these videos. And today, we are going to talk about the Trish effect. Yes, we are here to talk about the many fallen women of the WWE system because they were solely focused on building one star that they forgot the rest of the division. So before we even begin, this is not, this is Trish Stratus's fault. Blame her. Go in the comment section. Blow her up. No, this is not that kind of video. No, it's not. Trish Stratus is a Hall of Famer. She is a Diva of the Decade. She is a 7-time women's champion. She have earned her spot and everything like that. This is about the WWE system and calling out their inconsistency with the rest of the women because they wanted to only build up one. So I understand this was a different time in the WWE and they found the centerpiece in Trish and they built her up and she earned her spot. So let's just go ahead and get into the beginning of her career, right? So in the beginning of her career, as we all know, she was green. She was a big fan of wrestling. She got into it. I believe she signed her contract in 1999. She wasn't seen on TV until 2000, which was, I believe, in March. She even made her WrestleMania debut, not debut match, but, debut appearance. She paired off with TNA. She was mostly a valet, and then she wound up doing wrestling. I believe her debut match was against the Hardys and Lita, and she teamed up with TNA, which she won that match, which was great. And throughout the years, she would feud with Lita and the Hardy Boys, like majority of the time. And of course, other people. I believe she even feuded with Triple H and Stephanie McMahon at one point in time. I think that even went on until the next year as well. And I believe Trish had transitioned from heel to being a babyface because the whole Vince McMahon angle. Oh my gosh. I don't even want to talk about that. That is horrific. So we're going to skip past it. If you know, you know. And after that, she did have a feud with Stephanie McMahon, which she lost. I think it was at No Way Out. William Regal had interfered in that match and he laid her out and Stephanie got the dupe. And this is what led to the WrestleMania match, which was Vince McMahon versus Shane McMahon. She slapped him and she cut ties with the partnership of him. And throughout the years, she spent time getting her reps in, getting in the ring, getting better and better in the ring. And don't get me wrong, she wasn't quite there as far as like the in-ring palace, but she was definitely stepping into a more serious role as a wrestler. So she did earn her spot. Later on in that year, she won the women's championship in a six-pack challenge match because Chyna was the champion at the time, but it had to be vacated because of reasons. We're not going to get into that. I want to say by 2003 or 2004 is when she really had arrived. Definitely when she turned heel and she did that whole slap bird around the world with Chris Jericho. Oh my gosh. She really came into her own, not even just as a character, but her promos and everything like that came and it clicked. She grew into her role, and I'm not gonna lie, that was like her best run yet, honestly. To me, in my opinion, definitely when she was rivaling with Lita. Oh my goodness. And then speaking of Lita, she was kind of like on and off with her rivalry with her, but definitely when she was heel again, man, she wound up calling her fat and because she was pregnant and all that other stuff. Like, she really was going in on her. She said, "You're going to lose to me just like you lost your baby.
Come Survivor Series, you're gonna lose to me just like you lost your baby."
Come Survivor Series." I was like, oh my gosh, like she was really hitting below the belt. And by 2003, I believe she did win the women's championship. I think it was like for the 4th time. So she won it like quite a few times, but Not to really get like a elongated history of her tenure in the WWE, but she retired as a 7-time women's champion. And like I said before, she earned her spot. So with all that being said, let's just go ahead and get into the many casualties of the women that feuded with her and the WWE system that said, yeah, I don't think we need you anymore. So let's just go get right into it. So we're going to get into one of her first obstacles. So that was Jazz, technically, once she became a serious full-time wrestler. So with Jazz, it's a very interesting case because with Jazz, she was already positioned as a dominant heel. I believe she made her debut in 2001 in WWE, and she came in like a wrecking ball. So with that being said, she wound up feuding with Trish Stratus, and later on, I want to say January or maybe December, I forgot the time frame, but Jazz used to just come and interrupt many of her segments, whether it be like a bikini contest or a bra and panties contest. Like, she just used to just demolish her. And much later on, after they traded off the women's championships and things of like that nature, Jazz in 2002 wound up getting injured. I believe it was MCL or something like that. I forgot, but she wound up being out. And then she wound up coming back later that year, and then she wound up feuding with her again, heading into WrestleMania 2003, and she lost at WrestleMania. I believe Victoria got pinned. And then she wound up feuding with her heading to Backlash, where Jazz won the women's championship. And then after that, this is where she got injured again. So I don't know if WWE was like, oh, she's so injury prone, or maybe Jazz was just used as an obstacle for Trish, because even after, if I'm not mistaken, she came back. I believe she left either in 2005 or 4 of that year, because after she lost in that fatal 4-way elimination match for the WWE Women's Championship, which Molly Holly got pinned, like, I think, second or first? I was like, God, how the hell? You're the champion? Man, and Victoria had won that match. After that, she just left. And then they brought her back, and then she feuded briefly with Mickie James. And I remember she had an interview where she said that, I think WWE didn't like the reaction. And she had told them, this is around the time when ECW did their whole one-night stand thing. And of course, they're in Philadelphia, I think, at the time. Of course, they were going to cheer her. Like, what do you think was going to happen? Of course, Mickie James won the match, and then that was it. Then she just left. And I believe she wound up going to the NWA and then winning that world title. And I mean, kudos to her. And she's not jaded or faded about the situation. But for her to be a 2-time world champion, and then y'all just swiftly just say, oh, okay, cool, bet. It just seemed like, okay, she just outlived her usefulness. And y'all just said, okay, cool, get on. Like, really? That's how you do a former world champion? So another case, Victoria. Victoria, ahead of her time, great character work, 2-time former world champion, which seems very light for somebody that had been such an elite worker. And you just say, we're just going to de-emphasize you, yeah. But, oh yeah, Trish, we're going to keep pushing her, though. Because remember, after she won her last world title, which was from Molly Holly, she lost it to Trish. And granted, she didn't get pinned in the match. Lita had actually got pinned in that match. Good setup, because Lita's an interesting case as well. After that, she got de-emphasized. She had a couple of world title matches, but of course, she kept losing to Trish because the other women were coming about. But I'm like, y'all are repositioning these women because you rebranded for this diva era, but she was aesthetically there. So if that is your argument, what was wrong with her look? Anywho's, Victoria wound up getting de-emphasized. Then she wound up in a pairing with Vince's Little Devils, which was Candice Michelle and Tori Wilson with Victoria. And she just fell out in the car. Definitely after Trish left, man, it got humiliating. Ain't no way in the world y'all gonna tell me that wasn't no humiliation ritual, because you mean to tell me she loses to Maria? If I'm not mistaken, she lost to Maria. She lost to Candice Michelle at one point in time. Candice Michelle. And this is before she really came into her own in the ring. She still was fairly green. Kelly. All these lesser women. It got so bad, she asked for her release. She said, look, y'all not doing nothing with me. I'm good. But her retirement match was Michelle McCool. Now, don't get me wrong, Michelle McCool at that point was way better of a wrestler than when she first came to WWE. Okay, I will give her that. But that whole blind babyface run that she was doing when she was the first Divas champion, interesting case with that. But we're not talking about that. We're gonna go ahead and move on. But for her to leave, I'm glad that she actually went to TNA and had a hell of a run. She a 5-time world champion. See, that's more like it. That's how you treat a world-class athlete. Not sit up there and make her a second-class citizen. Are you cool? Anywho, let's just go ahead and move on to the next case, Gail Kim. Gail Kim is another interesting case because she won the women's championship on her first night. And I believe she was only with WWE for fairly a year or maybe 2. And how do you have somebody win the women's championship the first night? Now, granted, ironically, that match included Jazz, who got injured. And like I said, I guess they repositioned her or phased Jazz out. And then that was it for her. And then even with Gail Kim, who was knocking it out the park, she was getting reactions and everything. I blame WWE for not making her a bigger deal because, man, I'm telling you, I'm going to get into that TNA run a little bit later. But right now, the WWE run, even the second time we came in and WWE just acting like, we just gonna feed you to our other diva talent, and then you know what I'm saying, we gonna figure it out. And she was not rocking with that. She even left in the middle of a Divas Battle Royal match. And she rolled out of the ring. She did not give a damn, and she never was seen or heard of or returned after that. But the first run, she wound up losing her women's championship to Molly Holly. Okay, cool. Which Molly Holly had a great run. We gonna get into Molly Holly's case as well. After that, she teamed up with Molly, and then she wound up going against Trish. She was taking Trish through there with Molly Holly, and then Lita came in, and we gonna get into Lita's case as well. And then after that, if I'm not mistaken, Molly and Gail Kim were getting the best of. But every now and then, Molly, of course, would get the best of Trish and Lita at a point in time. But ultimately, they lost the feud, for real, honestly. And Gail Kim wound up leaving the WWE soon after. I want to say, like I said, 2004, maybe early 2005. Like I said, I'll put the screenshots on the side of when she actually left WWE. And when she came back with her second run, it was a flop. It was even worse, if I'm not mistaken, than the first one.
And I almost forgot to say this. When she was in TNA, she definitely was a Hall of Fame worthy everything. She did her big one in TNA, multiple time TNA World Champion. She won the TNA Women's Tag Team titles as well. Well, Knockouts Tag Team titles. She really hit the ground running, and she went back to TNA multiple times, and they treated her like how WWE should have treated her. But for some reason, I don't know what was going on behind the scenes, but they just was not rocking with Gail Kim like that. But yeah, she definitely hit the ground running, and she is a multiple-time world champion over there. So she definitely should have stayed in TNA.
Let's go ahead and get into Molly Holly's case. Molly Holly is a very interesting case. She is an elite worker, character-driven person, elite across the board, technical wrestler. She gets it. She was ahead of her time as well. She actually was feuding with Trish as well in 2002, won the women's championship at King of the Ring. Then she wound up losing it at Unforgiven, which is crazy because that's actually the event that Trish retired at in her hometown later on in 2006. And then Molly Holly, I believe, won the women's championship, like I said earlier, to Gail Kim. So after Gail Kim, she wound up losing her title to Victoria. And like I said before, after feuding with Trish and that whole thing was subsided, Victoria won the women's championship, I believe, in February. And then they had feuded at WrestleMania, and they fought hard to have a WrestleMania match. And they said, okay, I'll shave my head then. So they was like, okay, no, cool, we gonna do that. And she got a big respect for the WWE for doing that because she lost the match, of course, and Victoria won, and she shaved her head at WrestleMania. After that, if I'm not mistaken, Molly was doing the whole character thing where she had the wig on, acting like, oh, I didn't get my head shaved. What are you talking about? But of course, they wound up ripping her wig off a couple of times. I remember that one time, though. It was a tag team match. And after that, she just, I don't know. I think, if I'm not mistaken, she asked for her release, But you got to ask, why would you ask for a release from the best company in the world? As far as a wrestling promotion standpoint. Makes you think, huh? But anyways, let's just go ahead and get into Jacqueline's case, right? Jacqueline was another woman that feuded with Trish Stratus. And she was definitely ahead of her time as well. She fought with the men and everything like that, if I'm not mistaken. I think she came from WCW because I did see some clips from there. And I was like, oh, I didn't know she was on there before. And she was wrestling with the men and everything like that. I believe Jazz was wrestling with men as well. I mean, they some, big women, you know what I'm saying? Like some built women, should I say. So it's believable. So after she feuded with Trish, I don't know. It felt like they was underutilizing her. And it was at times where they would be like, okay, we going to tag with her, as far as Trish. And then they kind of like put her to the side. I don't even think she was in bra and panty matches. If she was, it was probably maybe one or two. But she did do the bikini contests and stuff like that. But like I said, it was very up and down with Jacqueline. Because I remember in real time, I used to be like, wait a minute, what happened to Jacqueline? And then they kind of phased her out. She came back and she won the cruiserweight title, and they just did that for a one-off, and then she wound up losing it at Judgment Day 2004, I believe. I think it was 2004, maybe 2005. I think it was 2004. But like I said, by 2003, they kind of was quietly just moved her on out of the way, which is wild because your former two-time world champion, you just say, you know what? We got Trish. They did that with all the other women. Like, oh, yeah, we got Trish. So, yeah, we good. That was just weird. So, again, I'm not blaming Trish for this. I'm blaming the WWE system. Speaking of the system, Ivory. You have Ivory, another woman, ahead of her time, character-driven, right to censor. She was, the vocal point of it, doing her thing. I think, 3-time world champion? And she was the one that kind of semi-retired the Fabulous Moolah, or should I say had her last match with her, as far as like for a world title, should I say? Let me phrase it, because she did have other matches after that, which is strange because I remember she had that one tag team match we're not going to talk about. I'm going to put give me nightmares. And she beat China, one of the most protected women's stars. For the women's championship, she defended it and she beat her. Yeah, it wasn't clean because, well, actually, technically it was clean because she didn't use any dirty tactics because I guess the storyline, Chyna's neck was injured. She bumped it and she just fell out. And then Ivory pinned her, 1, 2, 3. So technically that is a clean win. It was by fluky happenstance. And of course, later on, Chyna wound up winning the women's championship in 2001. She beat her. And then on top of that, she beat her at the Royal Rumble at a pay-per-view event. It was also one of the ones that was feuding with Trish. I don't remember like a lot of their segments. I believe it was just a lot of one-offs or every now and then. And then they kind of quietly phased her out as well. I was like, what are y'all doing, WWE? Y'all don't like these other women? What, y'all phasing them out? I don't get it. Like, you got all these elite women that are all these women I named were world champions. And you mean to tell me you don't have nothing for them, but you got everything for Trish? Makes you wonder. You can create multiple stars and not deplete the rest of them. Even with Lita, which is a very interesting case. Lita was one of the top tier women and way ahead of her time. For her to do the things that she was doing in the ring with all the high risk and kind of stunt like, and she was really knocking it out the park. Everybody was like, Lita. Baby, they really was rocking with her, and her popularity shot through the roof. Her debut year, that is monumental. And then she joined the Hardys, and I believe with WWE, they were kind of like phased her out of the women's championship picture a little bit because after she won it that year, they were like, oh, well, you got the Hardys, so you can just go ahead and keep y'all storylines with that. And I'm just like, because I always wonder why she never was winning the championship over and over again. I mean, after Chyna left, I would have thought that maybe somewhere down the line she would have got it again, but they were building up Trish at that time, so she got it. So let's get right into the meat and potatoes, because I'm not going to talk about their whole long-term up and down rivalry. What is so interesting about this situation is the fact that I do feel like because of Lita's injuries, it did play a part, because Lita, I will say, probably was one of the closest to being a centerpiece vocal point for the WWE. I mean, they could not deny her. Like, the popularity was there. She was getting over organically. But the WWE, because of her injuries, I gotta keep it real, because of the injuries, definitely she had two major sidelining injuries. She had the neck, which was the first one in 2002, and then the leg, the knee or whatever, in 2005. When Lita and Trish wound up reheating their feud from 2000, and they ran it back in 2004, everybody was here for it. They main evented Raw. That was a great epic thing that they did. It was basically unheard of. Two women actually technically 4 years ago, Lita and Stephanie actually main evented Raw. But what they were saying is just two women. No, The Rock, Kurt Angle, Triple H at ringside. The Rock is the special guest referee. They mean just two women main eventing. So I guess that's how they was going to frame it. But yeah, if you know, you know. Anywho's, Lita looked like she was going to be the closest one to threatening that whole centerpiece Trish Stratus whole thing. But because Lita got injured, WWE had to reposition her and then make her more so a valet, which makes sense because on paper, I mean, she was injured. But at the same time, I felt like Trish was more reliable and she didn't get injured as much, because remember, she did get injured too that year. And she had left for 4 months, and she still was women's champion, mind you. Anybody else would have had to vacate because after 30 days, but I guess since they didn't have anybody to carry that belt in their eyes, because they could have had Victoria be the world champion, because Trish came back, you could have had her win it back. She didn't have to be champion that time she was injured, but WWE, I hate to say it, have a history of not really caring about the WWE women's division. So there's that. With all the talent that Lita had, they kind of reduced her to a valet role. Also, too, I hate to say it, we gotta be real, because of Lita's outside activities, that also created a storyline because of the Matt and Edge situation, and they created that as an angle. So that also hurt her credibility as well. So had she not cheated on Matt, maybe things would have been better. But because they had to force a heel turn for her, because the fan receptions was like, you did that to Matt, like, we ain't rocking with you. So they had to pivot, and she wound up being Edge's valet, and that worked out for him, but it deplenished her in a way, because after the whole Matt and Edge situation, it catapulted Edge into the stratosphere where he wanted to be, and he was a part of the main event scene, and he was more interesting with Lita. She got him over, honestly. But in WWE's eyes, after Lita lost credibility, they kind of de-emphasized her, because even when she retired, it was the way she retired. It's not even the fact that she lost. It's the fact that after she lost at Survivor Series, they ended up selling her belongings for a storyline angle with Crime Time. And it just was very humiliating. And for somebody that's the former 4-time world champion of your company and was getting over organically, all that other good stuff, you just, kind of like, oh, okay, bye, girl. That's kind of how y'all did her. And with Trish, she got a proper send-off. She got to retire in her hometown as the world champion, and she took the world title with her. So let's talk about the fallout after she left WWE. Woo! Man, what a downgrade, because the WWE definitely de-emphasized the WWE women's division. They made them complete divas. They were looking for swimsuit models and just women, period, with no previous wrestling experience. And I get it. Sometimes you could build a woman from scratch and make her the girl, because they did it with Trish, right? But they didn't really care to do that anymore. After Lita left, after Trish left, they said, oh, no Lita, no Trish. Yep, that's it. We don't care about the women's division anymore. Let's go. And it's like, what? Are you serious? You got Mickie James there. You had Candice Michelle, which y'all were making her a thing. And then she got injured. Y'all got Beth Phoenix there. And then after that, y'all just said, Melina was the world champion as well. And then y'all just say, ain't no Trish, man. Like, so for what I think 9 years, Y'all just de-emphasized the women's division so much so that y'all got rid of the women's championship, the OG women's championship. And then y'all brought in the Divas Championship. Well, y'all been had it since, what, 2008, 2007 or something like that. And then 2010, I want to say, they just said, yeah, get rid of that. Yeah, Trish ain't here, so look. That's what it felt like to me after a while. Because then the match time was cut short, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. It's basically bathroom break. That's why they always say, oh, the women's match, bathroom break. Give me a beer or whatever. Like, you know, the women just were not important at that particular time frame after 2006. They just was like, hey, make it the Diva division. And then it took almost 9 years for them to finally take the women's division seriously. Yes, they did have serious moments. Yes, women did here and there stuff. The whole AJ Lee pipe bomb thing. And then NXT, they ended up doing the whole women's revolution or evolution thing. And then they went to the main roster, which is the 4 horsewomen, but it was only 3 of them, which was Becky, Sasha, and Charlotte. And they wound up forcing WWE's hand to take women seriously. So they got rid of the whole diva thing. And I remember Sasha said that she hated that women's championship, the Divas Championship. She hated that thing. It looked like an earring. And they went up from here. And this is where we at today. Finally, women are being taken seriously. Here and there, it's a little touch and go, okay? They still kind of be on their BS, but overall, it is better, definitely better than the Diva era. I'm sorry. That's just me, but y'all, some of y'all just rant and rave about it. But hey, that's just y'all. But hey, it is what it is. I just feel like, honestly, to drive it home, this is all Trish's fault. This is everything on her. Oh, just her. No, I'm calling out the system. WWE could have easily built up multiple stars, and then they could have left on their own accord or over the years, because a lot of them only had like maybe 2-3 years at best. Trish was able to wrestle for 7 years before she said, you know what, I call it a career. I did everything that I could do, and y'all gave her a proper send-off. I understand that everybody can't get a proper send-off. Maybe they'll just decided that match, hey, I want to be released or something. Cool. They had a right to do that. I don't know. But for them to just kind of be like phased out or not hear from them no more, or you got to look online like, okay, well, where's this person? Where's that? For y'all to just kind of do these women like that, it's very egregious. It really is. And it's disgusting. It is nasty work to have these elite women. And all of them that I named were top tier workers. And then even after Trish leave, you mean to tell me, oh, yep, no women's division, that's it. That's wild work. But I said all I could say. Like I said, much respect to Trish. She is a 7-time women's champion. She still actively wrestles here and there. She's more of a special attraction. Hats off to her, honestly, and much respect to her. This is not her fault. This is the WWE system's problem. And hopefully they don't do stuff like this anymore. But hey, at the current day, I have no hope for WWE, and definitely with the TKO pairing. That's a conversation for another day. But comment down below, how did you feel about my video? This is probably like the longest video that I got. I'm going to try to cut it down. But yeah, that's all I got. And comment down below, like, share, and subscribe. Help me grow the channel. Your love and support is definitely greatly appreciated. Welcome. Peace. TJ. I'm
You Please don't call me twin.
Remind you,
I don't look like
there
you,
would
baby.
be no trail for you to blaze if it wasn't for me.
Gotta be April Fool. Bitch wanna be messy, so I
more
came
than
this bitch with a
anyone should
broom. Bitch
know
throwing bees up. Hell,
that
my
to be
feet
the
up.
woman,
Face card, don't
you
decline.
need to
Chasing
beat the
bees
woman.
up. Me and that nigga never part.
You're so pretty.